That's why it's important Kenyans to understand the Maina Kiai case. Presidential elections take place at the constituency, not national. And returns of elections are made to the constituency returning officer. Don't buy the bullshit of IBC chairperson telling you that he now becomes a returning officer. He gazettes himself. Chebukati gazetted himself as the returning officer of presidential elections. The role of the chairperson is specified in the Constitution. Let the returning officers at the constituency conduct presidential elections. Let them make the announcements. Let the media show each constituency's results. Then they will bring those forms to the chairperson to help him arrive at who has gotten 50% plus one and who has gotten 25% in 24 counties. Then he comes up with the result of the elections.
Right there, and welcome to Fanya Mambo Africa. Very exciting to be having this conversation today because Kenya is gearing towards the 2027 election, and there's been a lot of conversations around elections. And with me, I have the deputy party leader of Safina Party, also a lawyer by profession, and someone who understands matters elections across Africa and the larger continent.
Globe, yes.
So what we're discussing today, because is election malpractices, theft, and the Maina Kiai case. This Maina Kiai case, why is it so referenced every now and then in this country, and what is it about?
The Maina Kiai case was about the sanctity of the vote that is cast by the voter. Because the mischief at that particular time was that votes will leave polling stations and constituencies on their way to Nairobi. And mysteriously, the numbers will change. You find people voted in a constituency, they recorded that so-and-so received 40,000 votes. By the time the votes land in Nairobi, that time it was KICC, then subsequently Bomas, the votes will be that he received 80,000.
So it doubles
It's doubled along the way. Because what happened is that, and this was largely on presidential elections, that when you want to rig an election, you need to know what margin of top-up you need. So I control this particular area. This is my stronghold. I need to know how many people have voted for my opponent. How many have voted for me? Then by how much do I need to top up? So there was interference. Because now you have a bird's eye view of how everybody has voted.
Yeah.
And you know for me to win, I'll need to top up by adding votes in my following strongholds. I need 500,000 more votes to win.
Okay.
So my strongholds have how many constituencies? I have 60 constituencies. So each of them can give me 10,000. So they'll fudge the numbers. You'll find a returning officer for Limuru. He's not reaching Bomas 4 or 5 days after the elections. But the returning officer for Turkana has reached Bomas. That one who had to use a boat, had to use a boat, a donkey, a vehicle to get to KCC, has reached before the one who is just here in Limuru. Or a name, returning officer for constituency in Embakasi cannot be found. And in 2007, Kivuitu even said, I can't reach my returning officers.
Yeah.
They've switched off their phones. That is the process when numbers were being fudged. So we conceptualized the Maina Kiai case with Maina Kiai, the former.
So this was in which year?
We conceptualized the case after the 2013 general elections. And we went to court in 2015, to the High Court. So we sat down with Maina Kiai, a gentleman by the name Elef Alifa, and Tirop Arap Kitur. The three of them used to be commissioners previously of the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights.
Okay.
Maina Kiai was the chairperson. Elef was a commissioner. He's still in Mombasa. He's a board member of the Muslims for Human Rights. And Tirop also was a commissioner. Tirop was a radical student leader who had been illegally detained by Moi for allegedly engaging in subversive activities when they were fighting the Moi dictatorship.
Okay.
So my petitioners were solid Kenyans who've been on the trenches fighting for human rights, good governance, and democracy. So we went to court and we told the court, look here, this is the Constitution of Kenya. I was the advocate. This is the Constitution
Oh,
of
you're the
Kenya.
one who gave us the famous Maina Kiai case.
Yes, I was the advocate in the proceedings.
Oh, well done.
Thank you.
You've changed the
I've
direction
defined
of this country.
jurisprudence. And we said, if I vote at my polling station, my vote must count. How comes that once I vote at the polling station, what is announced at Bomas is different from what I cast at the ballot box? And we said, look at the Constitution. The Constitution in Article 138 and the Elections Act recognizes the polling station as the place of polling.
Okay.
So you vote at your polling station. The Elections Act requires that you count at your polling station. That is being done. Then it also requires that you go and tally your votes at the constituency tallying center. At that point, I should be able to know at the polling station how each candidate fared.
At the polling station.
At the polling station. Each
So
candidate in the
the
polling
first
station.
counting happens at the polling
At the polling
station.
station. The only place of counting is the polling station.
Okay.
So I should be able to know at the end of this polling, the counting, how many votes did each candidate get in my polling station.
Okay.
Then my ballot boxes leave the polling station to go to the constituency tallying center. I should be able to follow my ballot box to the constituency tallying center and make sure that the tallying of my constituency is exactly as it was done at the polling station. So the numbers are the same. Then also, other presiding officers, other agents from other polling stations also come to this tallying center. They all say, this is what we counted. You enter our results in the second form. Then, at the conclusion of that tallying exercise, we expect the returning officer to tell us, based on our open tallying of the results, as delivered to us from the polling stations, these are the votes that everybody received, all the candidates received.
Okay.
And we should all be able to know the outcome of that election. Because it is also at the constituency where the ballot boxes are delivered.
Yeah.
Now, the mischief was that now there's Nairobi that does not even see a single ballot box. Not a single ballot box comes to Bomas.
It's the forms.
Only the forms are brought to Bomas. So we were saying, how can this center you're calling Nairobi, the Bomas Tallying Center, be the one making the final determination of the results when that center does not even see a single ballot box? Not a single agent who was at the constituency has access to the Bomas.
Yeah.
So we say, let's open up Article 138. What is the role of the chairperson of IEBC? That now he has the powers to superintend over elections. And we found in Article 138 of the Constitution, the chairperson of IEBC is given a specific role. He is supposed to play the role of issuing the certificate of winner.
Only.
And how do you arrive at the certificate of winner? He is supposed to confirm which candidate has received 50% plus 1 of the votes cast. That's number one. Number two, he's supposed to confirm which candidate has received a minimum of 25% of the votes cast in 24 constituencies. Counties. With that, he'll be able to say, X has crossed the threshold. I can now issue him with a certificate of the winner, the outcome of the election, the result. In fact, the word used in the Constitution, the result of the election, not the results. Those are two different things.
One has S, the other one is T.
The other one is T. And the difference is this. Results with an S is the actual votes that each candidate received. Result is the outcome. Who is the winner? The ultimate outcome. So the result does not include the votes that were received by the other candidates who didn't vote, who didn't win.
Okay.
Result is only the winners.
The winner.
But results is everybody's tally. But we also noticed that what IBC had been doing illegally, the chairperson of IBC, through regulations, declares himself to be the returning officer of presidential elections. Where does he get the legal authority to make himself the returning officer? His role is specified in the Constitution as chairperson. In fact, the Constitution says the chairperson of IBC shall. But they decided that we will now redesignate your role from chairperson to returning officer. Because for others at the constituency elections are manned by returning officers.
Yes.
In fact, the same Article 138 provides where there are 2 or more candidates cleared to contest for elections of president. The elections shall be, each constituency shall proceed to conduct a presidential election. Each constituency. It doesn't say the Kenyan nation.
Okay.
It says each constituency shall proceed to conduct a presidential election. So what we ought to do is this. Once 2 or more candidates are cleared to contest, then every constituency, which is manned by a returning officer, proceeds to conduct its presidential elections. And the returns of those elections are taken to the returning officer at the constituency level. That is why it's called the returning officer. He is the person to whom returns of an election are taken. And that person sits in the constituency.
Yeah.
He doesn't sit at Bomas. So whatever this person is receiving at the constituency, because remember, presidential elections are constituency-based. They are not national.
Yeah.
It is done by each constituency. So each constituency should be announcing to us, once they've done their open tallying of the results, each constituency should proceed to announce, based on our count and tally, the candidates for these elections received the following votes. Jimmy Wanjigi, you got 81,000. William Ruto, you got 9,200 votes in that constituency. That is now Mvita constituency announcing. The returning officer of Mvita is announcing, so we write down Jimmy Wanjigi, 81,000. William Ruto, 9,200 from Mvita. Kalonzo Musyoka, you put his tally. Each of us writes down as he's announcing openly. Then Mvita is done. We hear that Mbalambala is ready with their returns. William Ruto, you've gotten 200 votes. Jimmy Wanjigi, you've gotten 9,000 votes. And we are all writing down Mbalambala.
Yeah.
Then we hear Ugunja is ready. Jimmy Wanjigi, you've gotten 52,000. William Ruto has 20 votes. We all write. And the media is there displaying, relaying to Kenyans.
Yeah.
Everybody in their whole house or wherever they are is able to say, Mvita, this is what we saw the arrow openly announced. We write down, we write down, we write down. Then, at a certain point, we should all be able to say, once, let's say, over 200, let's say 250 constituency returning officers have done that exercise. The media has captured them doing it and relayed to Kenyans. We should all be able to say, if we add the totals for Jimmy Wanjigi, for William Ruto, for Kalonzo Musyoka, we can see Jimmy Wanjigi, his votes are now 9.9 million votes. William Ruto has 1.2 million votes. Kalonzo Musyoka has this much. The margin cannot be surpassed. Or we wait for everybody, 290, to do the math.
Okay.
Then we say, Jimmy Wanjigi, you received this number of votes. Based on what we've witnessed in the constituency, the winner of these elections is candidate A, Jimmy Wanjigi. So you can now say, based on the projections of what the returning officers have done, he has won.
Yeah.
Those are the provisional results.
So Very well explained in that. My question is now, these results which you're calling provisional is what goes to Bomas.
Now they go to Bomas. They go to the national, they go to, they're actually final results, if you ask me. They are final in the sense that the returning officer, who we've said is the person who conducts elections in the constituency.
Yeah.
Those are his results for that particular election. But now they have to come together, all the returning officers, to hand over the official documents, okay, to the chairperson to confirm who has reached the threshold.
So the chairperson here is Ekwe, what's his name? Ethekon. Ethekon. His is to read results as they came, or is there any confirmation that this?
He has
what
no role to confirm, to alter, to do anything, to vary the results. That is a point we argued. And IBC in court was saying the role of the chairperson may mean to vary. He may,
what would cause a vary?
You cannot. In fact, the court was very emphatic. If anybody is disputing any challenge, even the IBC chairperson itself, his recourse is to go to court. It is only a court that can vary or alter results.
Okay.
The chairperson of IBC cannot do it. And in court, they were saying that part of their duties at the National Tallying Center is where they find the discrepancy, they can vary, they can alter.
Where would the discrepancy come from then?
That is the question. No discrepancy is envisaged because everything took place at the constituency. If you think there's a problem, that's a constituency to be flagged, and nothing stops IBC chairperson from filing a presidential election petition to dispute those results that the returning officer has brought to him.
That's interesting. So at the constituency level, who confirms these results? Such
At
that
the
by the time they're going to the national center, it is the same. And we all agree.
What happens is this. Remember, polling took place at the polling station.
Yes.
The PO was there. The agents were there. After they counted their results, they entered them in the Form 34A. Then the PO, with the agents, left the polling station to go to the tallying center.
Yeah.
Remember, they were all there with the and they are carrying their boxes and the forms. They are all there. They've all agreed. They've all seen the counting of the votes and how it is entered. They were all there. Correct? They all live together to the constituency tallying center.
Okay.
And they all give the returning officer, these are our returns of the elections. This is the form which they all saw being signed.
Yeah.
They have the ballot boxes that in case of anything, the boxes are still there.
Yeah.
They give the returning officer. The duty of the returning officer is to enter the returns, is not to count again.
So the counting that is done at the polling, that's it?
The only place that counting of votes takes place is at the polling station.
Okay.
Okay? Post the polling station is just now a transfer of forms of what was captured.
During that transfer, nothing can be changed.
That is why I'm saying the transfer of forms, you leave the polling station, the presiding officer, and the agents. Okay?
Yeah.
They all witnessed the counting. They signed the form, 34A. They left together. So where is the opportunity? But assuming the mischievous presiding officer swapped forms
because
in the process.
That's a concern for many.
Remember, he has the agents who had witnessed the counting. They have gone with him to the returning officer to give the returns of the elections. They'll say, that is not the form we signed. We reject. These are our boxes. Count them. Okay?
So it's the signature is just for the returning officer. The agents just watch.
No. The signature of the Form 34A is the signature of the PO and the signature of the agents.
Okay.
And remember, as he's doing this work, he finishes the counting, they seal the boxes.
Yeah.
He even puts one, maybe I should explain further the polling station process. There are several forms which are prepared when you are doing several Form 34As. It's one form but with many duplicates.
Okay.
One of them, the presiding officer will put inside the ballot box and seal it.
Okay.
He will retain one, the presiding officer. And he will also give the agents their copies.
Ah, okay.
So everybody is working with their form.
Okay.
And remember, there's also another one inside the box, sealed.
Yeah.
So a mischievous PO, if he wants to swap forms, he means he must open that ballot box and remove the form. He must take away the forms that the agents were given. Because it must be the same form.
Yeah.
It's the same form, just that it is multi-duplicated.
Yeah.
So he presents the original to the arrow. The agents are seeing, this is what he's presenting, this is what we have. They are all the same. We are okay, the returns can be entered.
Okay, interesting.
Then, once all the polling stations in that constituency have come, remember there's only one form 34B.
Yeah.
And how you enter it, let's say polling station Uru Gardens Primary School, polling station 1 are ready, they go where the arrow is sitting. It is the PO and the agents from that polling station. They hand over the form. The returning officer writes Uru Gardens Primary School, these are the votes for each candidate. It is one form that he's writing, he's entering. So Uru Gardens polling station are finished, they go out. Langata Primary School, polling station, this they come, they give their form. It is entered on the same document, 34B. So this document of 34B, you populate it as the polling station teams keep coming.
Okay.
Then at the end, once all the polling stations have come, you now do the math. In the presence again of agents and the POs.
Okay.
Then now you are able to stand up and say, and the media is also there.
Yeah.
Observers are also there. They all saw you entering as each team was coming, supported by their forms. And they have the backup of the ballot papers inside the box.
That sounds like we have a very legit legal, law.
Elaborate. Then once you finish, you will stand up in the presence. They have all been witnessing.
Yeah.
Now we've finished. The last polling station has brought their returns. We've done the additions. These are the results from this constituency. Then he reads. Media is able to relay.
Yeah.
You can broadcast to all Kenyans. Everybody can write that constituency, Langata constituency, these are the votes that were cast and received by the respective candidates. So you're done with Langata. Then you go to another constituency when they are ready.
Okay.
You again relay. But the mischief which was introduced in Kenya was this electronic transmission. It was meant to deal with the mischief. That because of the fear, which you are saying, that of a PO swapping forms, let him finish the count and writing of the forms. Let the PO electronically capture the image and send it electronically to the National Tallying Center. That to me was the first mistake.
Why?
The National Tallying Center is not the place where returns of elections are made. Article 138 says each constituency must conduct its presidential elections. So the place of returns is the constituency, not Nairobi.
But does it make a difference if indeed what they entered is the same number without altering?
So what happened? The difference is this. The mischief that now the National Tallying Center has done is this. When you send for me, and IBC is very good at it, they set up a screen at Bomas. They tell the media, don't capture what is happening at the constituency. Don't relay it. Come to Bomas, we will give you a feed.
Yeah.
That is what you display to Kenyans.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Then they start by, at polling close, I remember in 2017, polling closed at 5 o'clock. At exactly 5:15, Bomas of Kenya was showing us results from certain polling stations.
In 15 minutes?
In 15 minutes, Bomas of Kenya was already showing us results. I'm an elections expert.
I'm not an expert, but I know you can't have calculation of a constituency.
Let me tell you, they will claim that maybe there were only few voters in that polling station, that maybe they were only... That's what, they were showing polling stations, not constituency. They were showing polling...
Okay.
Because what Bomas does, they start by showing you polling stations. Polling stations.
Yeah.
Which is wrong. Bomas should not be showing us any polling stations, because then they show you a polling station, somewhere in Baringo. Polling station, Salbat Primary School. In Baringo, they are showing you. Before you finish writing down, they are showing you Vita Primary School. So they are coming from all over the country. You cannot track. These polling station results ought to have been sent to their respective constituencies, not to national, so that you are able to track. So what they did, for example, in 2017, when I was there, as Raila's campaign manager, at 5:15, Bomas started displaying results from certain polling stations. As an elections expert and practitioner, I can tell you, when polling closed at 5, the first order of business is what we call the closing procedures. You don't just close a polling station by closing the door.
Yeah.
There are procedures to be adhered to. Procedures to mean you first seal all the ballot boxes. Remember, there are 6 elections on that day.
Yeah.
Seal all the ballot boxes. Seal them. And as you seal, you're putting a seal, and everybody writes down the serial numbers. And they are sealed in 5 places. Every corner and the main part where you're casting. And you write down the serial number of the seal that was used for each ballot box. So the polling presiding officer must write down the serial number. The agents must write down the serial number. Right? That is sealing.
Yeah.
Then the next step is now sealing the returns. Sealing the returns means we had received this number of ballot papers. Okay? How many ballot papers have we used? Our polling station, we received 200 ballot papers, for example. Yeah. For presidential, we only used 50, for example.
Yeah.
Unused are 150.
150.
You take note, custody, and the serials of the ballots which were used from the first to the
last.
Are you getting me?
Yes.
And you do that for all the 6 before you start counting.
So all that process
cannot be finished in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because you have to do it elaborate for presidential. You go to governor, you go to senator, you go to women rep, you go to member of parliament, you go to MCA. All of it, you seal all of them. Once you finish and you secure all the ballot boxes, then you say, we are starting the count. And we want to do it, we start with the presidential.
Yeah.
So even the room where the elections was being conducted has to be rearranged for the counting process.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that we are able to know, IBC will be sitting on this side, agents will sit here, media will sit here, observers, you get?
Yeah.
The room is rearranged. All of that elaborate process cannot be done in 15 minutes for somebody to be able to transmit for your results.
Certainly.
It's humanly impossible. So it tells you, Bomas was set up to start transmitting fake results. So what was being transmitted were fake results. And IBC compromised the media by intimidating them, threatening them, bullying them, that don't show anything from the constituency, come and get your results from Bomas. Yes. We will give you the feed. So the feed that the media was showing Kenyans, or the media end up showing Kenyans, is the garbage that IBC is feeding them, which is nonsense. Media should proactively be at every constituency. They should actually give a blackout to Bomas. You just go to the constituency, let's witness what is happening at the constituency.
Okay. So besides the media, takes the agents. And I'll quote Raila Odinga, who you were campaign manager in 2017, went to court in 2017. Of course, we ended up having the election nullified for the first time, and again in 2022. What was the problem that took you to court? Was it that process you're saying that IBC broadcast the wrong or misleading results? Or was it that he did not have enough agents to guard his own votes?
No.
Because agents would have then
No.
called
Of course, our agents had flagged out these issues. That's what was giving us the strength. If you remember the first night Raila was saying, vifaranga vya computer.
Yeah.
Because what was being displayed at Bomas and what we were receiving as from our agents were different. That is why we say then open the servers.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember when we went to Bomas, the first demand we asked of them is what you are displaying here as the results. We are only seeing alphanumerics, numbers. Give us the forms that support each of the return you are trying to display here. You are saying polling station X, B, C, D has sent the results. Give us, for each polling station you are displaying the alphanumerics, give us the form. Can I shock you? There were no forms.
So the returning officers had not sent them or had
No.
brought them?
IBCs at Bomas displaying to Kenyans polling station results. We are at Bomas, and IBC has put the display, huge like that your TV. And the media in Kenya, across the country, is also showing the same display from IBC, showing polling station results from each constituent, from polling stations. That was the night of 8th August. We told them, we can see you've displayed polling stations here, right? And the results. Give us the respective Form 34As from this constituency, these polling stations you are displaying. Give us those ones. They did not have.
So there was cooking that happened.
Of course, they were just displaying to you alphanumeric. Somebody was just entering things on a spreadsheet and showing to Kenyans, and the media bought it.
And that was in 2017.
That was 2017. So they were just selling you what does not exist. That is when Raila said, open the server.
Yeah.
We want to see what was transmitted from the polling stations then to you. IBC refused to even obey that court order. They didn't open the servers. We said then, let us go and deliver to us all the original forms, 34As and 34Bs, which were used to declare those results. Right?
Yeah.
Give us the originals. They brought the originals.
And?
I was heading the team from NASA that was taking charge of the scrutiny of the original forms 34As and Bs. The original 34Bs that we scrutinized, you'll be surprised to learn that the forms that were being used to declare Uhuru Kenyatta as president, the 34Bs from the constituencies, some of them were false caps, handwritten.
False caps?
Some of them were not false caps. Some of them were not signed by returning officers. Some of them didn't have serial numbers. You don't know where they came from. Somebody takes a photocopy paper and just enters. That was because they were told to bring the original.
Yeah.
That is what IBC brought as the original. We said clearly, with this are not the forms that were meant to be used to declare the results. At the end of that exercise, using the constituency forms alone, we were able to demonstrate that 5.4 million votes were unaccounted for. Remember, Uhuru's margin of victory was 1.7 million votes, which they thought we could not. They declared margin of victory was 1.7 million. Through that scrutiny exercise alone, we were able to demonstrate 5.4 million votes could not be accounted for.
That's such a huge number.
That is why the elections were nullified.
Okay.
I wear that as a badge of honor.
It's an honor, man. That was unheard of. Still
It's
remains
a badge
as
of honor.
Yeah,
And
it is.
the foundation of that case, the bulk of it was Maina
The
Kiai.
Maina Kiai case.
That's why it's important Kenyans to understand the Maina Kiai case. Presidential elections take place at the constituency, not national. And returns of elections are made to the constituency returning officer. Don't buy the bullshit of IBC chairperson telling you that he now becomes a returning officer. He gazettes himself. Chebukati gazetted himself as the returning officer of presidential elections. The role of the chairperson is specified in the Constitution. Let the returning officers at the constituency conduct presidential elections. Let them make the announcements. Let the media show each constituency's results. Then they will bring those forms to the chairperson to help him arrive at who has gotten 50% plus one and who has gotten 25% in 24 counties. Then he comes up with the result of the elections. And he can do that in his boardroom. He can do that in his boardroom. Every Kenyan can be doing the tallying as they watch the open display of results at the constituency level, tallying centers.
Now, that's very interesting and very insightful. My question then would be, Maina Kiai case had been determined by this time, right?
Yes, the Maina Kiai case was determined around 2015 in the High Court. Then IBC, to tell you that the system was designed to steal. IBC filed an appeal. IBC, remember this is the referee.
Yeah.
Kenyan citizens are telling the referee that we want our votes to be respected at the polling station level and to be counted at the constituency, tallied at the constituency. And we want to see an open display at the constituency. IBC files an appeal against and the first thing is High Court agrees that actually the polling station results are final and the elections should be conducted at the constituency.
Yeah.
The IBC has no role to vary, to alter, or to do anything. The chairperson has no role to vary, to alter, or to set aside any results. If he has a problem, let him go to court. IEBC, led by Chebukati, went to the Court of Appeal to say the High Court is wrong to say so.
Maybe they were right. Going to court. They used the process.
Went to the Court of Appeal to say that the High Court is wrong to tell them that they cannot vary, that they cannot set aside election results. Remember, you are the referee.
But you still want to get the rights.
This is not a player in the game.
Yeah.
What is their teeth in this fight? That they want to insist that we must be able to have a right to alter, to vary results. That we don't want the polling station results to be final. IEBC said that they don't want the polling station results to be final.
But why would they want that?
They are referee. Should be IEBC saying that the elections at the polling stations are final. IEBC filed an appeal to the Court of Appeal. And it took 5 judges. Remember, High Court were 3 judges.
Yeah.
It took 5 judges of the Court of Appeal hearing that case. 5.
To withhold the same judgment.
To tell the IEBC that polling station results are final. You cannot alter, you cannot vary, you cannot set aside. And presidential elections take place at the constituency.
Yeah.
What IEBC did in 2017, they ignored that court order.
But let me ask you.
And that is what made the Raila Odinga petition to be successful.
And leading to the nullification. But the bigger question then would be, in 2017, if this case had been made and all these provisions were there, the PO and the agents take to the returning officers, which I want to assume many did. Where did these changes come from, where you have full scabs as Form 34?
No, what happened was this. Remember the attitude of IEBC. They were not happy with what you were litigating. So the system of elections, the IEBC managed system, they were disputing even what the court is telling them to do. So what we were able to demonstrate is they did their own elections. When people are filling Form 34As at the polling stations, filling Form 34Bs at the constituent tallying centers, they were discarding those forms. They were not using those forms to declare the results. That's why I'm telling you, we were able to show that what they were using, because by the time somebody comes with a false cap, a photocopy paper,
it's madness, man.
As the form that was used to declare a polling station results, they came with a photocopy paper. That was not the photocopy paper that was available in that constituency.
Yeah.
It tells you that at the constituency level, because that was done, the tallying at the constituency was done in the presence of the presiding officers and with the agents. They didn't do it using a foolscap or a photocopy paper.
Yeah.
So you ignored what they filled. So to cover, you generated your own form, which was a photocopy paper.
The referee.
That's the referee.
Then
It
what
is the referee that brought those forms, not us. The court told them, bring the original forms 34As and 34Bs to court for scrutiny. The court told them that, bring the original. What you used is like the court telling me, bring this cup of tea, of coffee. Bring it. You said you took coffee, bring this cup of coffee, the one that you used. Bring it to court. Then I appear in court and I give the court a plastic jug, presenting it as the original. That's what IBC. So IBC system, the way it exists, it is hostile. We must appreciate that it is hostile to the results being final at the polling station. It is hostile to constituency elections and the tallying at the constituency level. That system wants a Bomas. Because if IBC wanted electronic transmission should be done from the polling station to the constituency. Electronic transmission should be done from the polling station to the constituency. So that the electronic transmitter goes ahead of you. When you are going manually, you reach the constituency, you find your forms waiting for you. Then they confirm, yes, the picture you took and the one you've delivered is the same.
Yeah.
But when you tell us that transmit to National Tallying Center, and yet no PO, no agent ever sets foot at the national, to whom are you making the returns?
Very interesting.
You are making the returns. That setup at IBC, I've told you, that setup at Bomas, did not have Form 34As on the electronic system. They had alphanumerics. And you ask them to give you forms in support of those alphanumerics, they didn't exist.
Okay. We have a new IBC in place. Hopefully, this IBC works within the parameters that are expected. But then someone would question, 2022, what happens?
2022.
Why did we still have the same discrepancy when this case again had set the foundation?
As I've told you, the IBC system does not believe in the finality of polling station results. Because if it did, and it respected that presidential elections should be held at the constituency level, IBC should be setting up an infrastructure for constituency-based elections, where even that tallying, that open tallying, should be to the constituency, not national. There were allegations of form dumping in the last elections, where certain forms were dumped on that IBC portal, which they used to make the final declaration. Even IBC commissioners were saying we didn't tally over 30 constituencies.
But IBC is made up of different people.
Let me say commissioners. But you see what happens, and that is the problem with Chebukati. He took over as if he was the IBC. Remember, and the court told them in the court of Maina Kiai case, IEBC is not the chairperson.
Yeah.
That returning officer is also part of IEBC. The PO is part of IEBC. The clerk is IEBC. So don't try to tell us that. Don't read the provisions that IEBC shall openly count, tally, and tally the results to mean that tally only applies to the commissioners. Even when the tallying is done by the turning officer, the constituency, that is IEBC doing it.
Yeah.
Openly tally the results is done by the turning officer at the constituency. That is IEBC. And the Court of Appeal told them, yes. Don't read the word commission to mean the seven commissioners. You are not the commission.
So besides the agents and the PO, are there any other safeguards? Because like we saw, I would quote the All Kalau, where people decided to guard their votes. Like we're not moving, we're not allowing anyone who's not part of the agents and the commissioners inside, or the people conducting, to get in. So are there any other safeguards, especially for the presidential election? Because I think nationally that is what brings a lot of problems.
The main safeguard in elections, I always say, is the people. Let the people cast their votes. Let the people protect their votes. Because we must accept that the election system as designed, the people who are overseeing it are mischievous. Don't trust the commission. The commission can easily be bought or manipulated or influenced to pursue a political objective. So you vote. After you vote, stay around your polling station. See, that is your village, where your polling station is. You know the people who live around there. Stay around. Agents need to be present. Observers. Kenyan citizens should register as observers. Accredited observers. You go to observe. Then the media, to be proactive. To witness how the polling is taking place. If there are any acts of intimidation. And when I talk of media, I don't just mean formal media.
Yeah.
I mean also as well community media. Our new phones are our new media houses. You capture, record, document whatever is going on. Share. Once they finish the counting in your polling station, you relay the information. If there are incidents of violence or intimidation of voters, people must resist and reject those goons. And they must display what their results are.
I mean,
then Kenyans should escort their ballot boxes to their tallying center peaceably. As they're taking them to the tallying center, you go with them. And you make sure your returning officer enters the accurate number of votes that were cast in that polling station. And capture returning officer doing that process on
but
phone.
Would Kenyans be allowed inside the constituency tallying center?
If you are a accredited agent and an observer, you are allowed. That's why I'm saying I encourage many of them. This election, many Kenyans will ascribe to become observers so that you have access to the voting, you have access to the tallying centers. And you go there and observe and take notes. And the ones who are in media, take your media cards.
Yeah.
Get accredited to be present. Okay?
Yeah.
And the ones who are not accredited in any way, shape, or form, no one stops you from being in the vicinity. Maybe being inside, you can be stopped.
Yeah.
But in the vicinity, you have a right.
But you know,
You can observe from a distance.
that right, we saw it being abused in Ol Kalou.
And that is why
And that was from my experience.
if Kenyans in their numbers are all out doing it, how many policemen do they have? Yeah. That was Ol Kalou. They could deploy their balaclavas and hooded gun, who failed spectacularly. But in a general election, presidential, the whole country, how many will you deploy? How many? And how many citizens are there? That's the kind of a thing you do, and you are setting up yourself for death. Because how many are you to be deployed?
Yeah.
They only want 25,000 security personnel in the country. We have 24 million voters. What can they do? Yeah.
They better just provide security.
Just provide security.
That's the...
Facilitate the exercise of the right to vote.
Okay.
Don't undermine it.
Yeah. Very, very important. There's been issues, people wondering why sometimes there's usually a switch between the manual and KIMS kit, and if that plays a part in malpractices in any way.
No, the KIMS kit, the primary role of the KIMS kit is the EVD part of it, electronic voter identification device. Because KIMS kit is an integrated, there's the identification part of it, EVD, where you use it to identify the voter. But in every polling station, in as much as they deploy the KIMS kits, there's also the physical copy of the register.
Yes.
But in case a voter cannot be identified using the KIMS kit, then you can resort to the manual. But there are safeguards. For every voter that you are going to identify using the manual register, you must take note of that particular vote and identify which feature, because the KIMS kit will be fingerprints, it can be eye. So which feature, if all the features could not be identified, then we resorted to, and the presiding officer must be able to specify at the close of the polling, when they're doing the closing, remember the closing procedures I was telling you about? Yeah. How many were identified using KIMS kits and how many were identified using the manual register. So that we know that at the end of the polling, the numbers must still tally. Yeah. Remember, every polling station has a maximum of 700 registered voters. Yes. Maximum.
And here, just to clarify, a polling center is usually a class.
No.
The whole The entire.
A polling center is that entire school.
Yes.
That's a center.
Yes.
Within a center, there may be different polling stations.
Yes.
The streams, what they
Yes,
call stream
yes,
1,
yes,
stream
yes.
2. The streams are the polling stations. So a polling center can have even 5,000 registered voters or even 10,000. But it has so many streams,
Yeah.
which are the polling stations. And each polling station, maximum registered voters is 700.
700.
That is maximum.
Yeah.
Some can even have as few as 200. Okay, depending.
Yeah.
So even if you wanted to import voters,
You cannot surpass 700.
700 is the maximum. And you must account for each of them.
How do you account for if you for them in
They
this
were
case?
identified using the KIMS kits. Their name must be in the register if you are doing it manually.
What a lot of people question is, let's say, if this was a polling, no, a constituency has, let's say, 70,000 registered voters, but the number ends up being the people who showed up is 35,000.
Yes.
They can't play around with this other half.
At the polling station level, sometimes there can be ballot stuffing, where they can decide to play around with the top up the numbers at the, let's say it's 3 o'clock, and you can all see that only 200 people have voted.
Yeah.
500 have not voted. So if you have mischievous election officials and agents, they may decide, let's add 300 to the just ballot stuff. That is possible.
So ballot stuffing, we do not have a way out.
There
It's
are
a
wa-
matter of faith.
It's a matter of faith, and you hope that at the local level, people will observe. But also remember, for you to ballot stuff successfully, you must ballot stuff for all the 6.
Oh, because they have to match.
And that is part of what we displayed to court in 2017, and IBC was not able to answer. That you had they're trying to convince the court that if you took the national presidential votes cast in certain counties, this is the total votes cast for president in County A.
Yeah.
The total number of votes cast for women rep in the same county. How comes there's a difference of almost 80,000? Are you trying to convince us that 80,000 people in this county walked into a polling station, voted for president, and left without voting for women rep? And IBC tried saying it's possible. But then the court was telling them, no. When the voter comes into the polling station, he's given all the 6.
Yeah.
Which means he must cast his vote for all the 6. If he doesn't desire to vote for any particular seat, remember the vote is given at entry point.
Yeah.
So he has the vote. He's been given all the 6 votes.
Yeah.
He has it, the ballot paper. He has it. He must cast all the 6 ballot papers in their respective boxes. So he may decide to choose that I'm not voting for anybody for women rep, but he still has the ballot paper. He must cast it and mark it.
Or you're not allowed to live with
You
it.
can't live with it. You must cast it. So that at the end of the polling, if we gave out 200 ballot papers, we must be able to account for
The
200.
And it's across.
And it's across. So that if there be any difference, it will be that maybe we have found 5 unmarked ballots for women rep.
Yeah.
Because there may be these 4 people who came in were not interested in voting for women rep, for example. But they had a duty to cast. You must put that box, that ballot paper, inside the box. You must return it inside the box for it to be accounted for.
So then why is it that the larger population still has a question around ballot stuffing being an issue?
It's an issue. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not an issue. It's an issue. It happens. But in the bigger scheme of things, its impact on influencing votes is negligible. Because you can only ballot stuff at polling station level. And I've told you, polling station, a maximum is 700. So it has to be such a massive operation for you to even now say, I want to ballot stuff 500,000 votes. You can imagine how many polling stations need to ballot stuff for you to achieve it. You get?
That would take...
And it will no longer be a secret.
Yeah.
Everybody will know that there's stuffing going on here. So presidential elections are not stolen by ballot stuffing. It's here at Bomas. They are stolen by inflation of figures at Bomas, where people just ignore at the constituency level. that remove those ones for that constituency, we put our own figures. And supported by primary documents, the forms. So take elections back to the constituency. In fact, the spirit of Maina Kiai case and the holdings by the court, if fully implemented, we will never see the kind of election petitions that are filed. Election petitions will be filed based on disputed constituencies. Because when Raila Odinga files a petition, national, he has no problem with the votes that he received, for example, in their constituency. He has no problem.
Yeah.
He has no votes of his votes that he received in Malava constituency. But you've made it such a way that even Raila cannot trace the votes. Because what you are using to announce, he can't see how that process arrived at. But if we have followed Maina Kiai case and we did what Article 138 of the Constitution prescribes, that we conduct presidential elections at each constituency. Each constituency.
Yeah.
Raila Odinga or anybody who wants to file a petition will be saying, I am disputing the returns for this particular constituency. So I'll file a petition only in regard to the constituency A, B, C, D. Then IEBC, once the petition is filed, should deliver to court the ballot boxes, the entire elections materials for that constituency to court.
Yeah.
But when you file a petition like we've been filing before, the first thing IEBC comes to court to tell the court, it's a logistical nightmare to bring the ballot boxes across the country to Nairobi. Because they know they've confused you.
Yeah.
But by law, when an election petition is filed, by law in Kenya, all the returns of the elections is handed over to court. IEBC never does it. Even before it's heard, the moment I file a petition, the duty of IEBC, remember he's a referee, is to take everything that was used for that elections, give it to courts for safe custody. The court will make, if need be, make an order for inspection, for scrutiny, when they're in the custody of court. So if we had the Maina Kiai case and Article 138 implemented, I will be saying I'm only filing a petition with respect to constituency A, B, C, D. Then IEBC should be able to now bring those materials of those constituencies to court. Then it's even easier for the court can even say, before we start the petition, in the meantime, can we have a recount of the votes for that constituency? The ballot papers are here. Recount all of those votes. As we're doing the hearing of the petition, we'll receive a report which will inform our decision.
That would be easy peasy. Sounds very straightforward.
But thieves don't want you to enjoy your rights.
Obviously, but let me ask you, we're going into an election, and there's a possibility, obviously, of, I mean, it was repeated 2017, 2022, now 2027. What difference is there to ensure that we don't go through the same cycle? And if there are any cases, then it is what you're talking about, disputing constituencies.
The margin of victory that is going to, by which William Ruto is going to lose, the margin, that Bomas nonsense will not work.
But that is
And
faith.
Kenyan, not faith. I read trends. And Kenyans are going to be able to follow up the elections. They are going to document. They are going to relay those results. Kenyans will know the results by midnight of elections. We will all know the results. With or without IEBC. Kenyans will know the results by midnight of elections. Because I always say this, and this is very important for Kenyans to note. Remember, every constituency, the most number of votes it can have is, I mean, every polling station, the most number of registered voters can be 700. Give or take. By midnight, let's say by 9 p.m. of elections night, by 9 p.m. elections night, there is no polling station that is still counting the presidential votes.
Yeah.
By 9 p.m. of elections night. Polling closed at 5. By 9 p.m., the results of the presidential elections are out. What has not happened is it's the aggregation. That's what IBC takes time to start stealing.
But that time
But
takes
now
a lot.
Kenyans will be able to do their own aggregation. Yeah, we are all the ones in the polling stations.
Yeah.
We are all the ones with phones. We will be able to observe the POs. We'll be able to tell what the votes are. By 9 p.m. of elections night, not a single polling station is still counting presidential votes. Everybody knows what the presidential vote is in their respective polling station.
But does it take sending the presidential independent, or does it have to wait? We are done with the 6th, then we send the 6th to the...
In terms of relaying, transmitting the information,
Yes.
You send, for every post you finished with, you relay the information.
Oh, so the presidential, once you're done, you relay.
And it's the first ballot box to be counted, is the presidential. That's why I'm saying by 9 p.m., the presidential has been counted, it has been relayed.
But it takes like 2 or 3 days.
Then
usually.
what happens is, you will continue counting for the others,
Yeah.
which give or take will take a whole night.
Yeah.
Probably into the next day, depending on the number of... In fact, give or take, all polling stations by morning have finished the counts. Polling stations, remember I told you 700.
Yes.
By morning of election, the next day of election day, they have all counted. It is now normally just a question of how to move from the polling station to the constituency tallying center, and how that tallying process takes place. Because you'll find, as all these polling stations are reporting to the constituency tallying center, there are some constituencies which have very many registered voters.
Yeah.
Some are talking of 200,000.
Yes.
They are all arriving almost at the same time. So for them to go through the surrender of the return to the constituency returning officer, it takes time. That is what will delay.
Okay, so that's why it takes a bit like 2 days.
2 days
Okay.
for some constituencies to conclude, because you are going to be handing over, not just presidential and you go away.
Yeah.
You hand over presidential, it is done. You hand over member of parliament, you hand over everything per polling station. That may take time. But as that is going on, nationally, I can tell you across the entire country, there is no polling station that has not known its presidential results.
Okay, that's for sure.
And we will crowdsource. Kenyans will crowdsource and will be able to show those returns.
Okay. Sounds like a very interesting case that has led us to this place. But now, looking at it, since you are the counsel advocate that was dealing with this case, today, and seeing what Kenya has gone through, what reforms, if any, would you introduce to this, to whatever judgment was made about this case?
I don't think there's anything much to reform. I don't believe that we need to do more laws. We just need to faithfully apply the Maina Kiai case. Faithfully. Apply Maina Kiai case faithfully, apply Article 138 of the Constitution faithfully, as it provides. The only thing that Kenyans need to demand is the administrative setup called Bomas of Kenya must be demolished. Let us do the tallying and transmissions to be done to the constituency tallying centers. Let media capture what is happening at the constituency and relate to Kenyans. If a PO is supposed to be sending his forms, send to the constituency. Let IBC disclose to us all the 290 constituency screens.
But that is not a lot, actually. 290 is not a lot.
It's not a lot.
Yeah.
And let media, in terms of what they are sending to Kenyans, they should send to Kenyans, at first instance, show us the open count in the respective polling station.
Yeah.
Then show us the open tallying at the constituency tallying centers. Then show us the announcement, public announcement by every constituency returning officer addressing the nation, reading the Form 34B. That is what the media should also use to aggregate and make their projections as to who has won or lost the elections. In the US, the elections for president are done in each state. Read the word each state and each constituency like Kenya.
Yeah.
Elections takes place on the 20th of November. By early morning of 21st of November, CNN is able to tell you, based on our projections of the results, President Barack Obama is the president-elect. That time, the IBC, the Election Management Body of the US, has not even sat down, has not met.
Yeah.
But they have been able to witness what is happening at every state. They have seen the state election officials making the announcements of what everybody has gotten. That by the time they are making their projection in the morning, they know that we saw what happened at the state. We saw what was announced at the state. This election has been called, we can say safely, Donald Trump has won it. The Elections Management Body meets in December at the Senate. That is when the formal declaration of a winner in the United States is done. In December, the first week of December. Whereas, by 21st, the loser will have conceded.
Yeah.
President-elect will have made his acceptance speech. Secret Service will have moved in to start protecting him. Because everybody in the country knows that we witnessed what every state's count was, and we know what transpired. Why can't it happen the same way in Kenya? We all just check the constituencies. We see what the constituent returning officers are doing. Then the rest just becomes a formality.
11th August.
11th of August, the president-elect will be able to address his people.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Safi na pesa.
Okay, that is for Safina.
Safi na pesa.
I like the way you had to plug in your party in this. It's very, very important.
But it is the time of the people.
It is, for sure, Kenyans must make a decision, very wise decision for that matter.
Yes.
Willis, thank you so much. I'm sure when the history of Kenya and elections is written, your name must appear somewhere.
You can reserve for me a footnote.
This is not a footnote. This has to be the title, because now everyone always refers to the Maina Kiai case, and many actually didn't know that you are the advocate that took us to that.
I was the advocate who did that.
Well
and
done.
I did it pro bono.
Oh.
We were all public-spirited individuals
That is
at no pay.
Thank you. That is patriotism.
Welcome.
We love it. It was for Kenya. Thank you so much for taking your time to explain to us. It's always a pleasure having you around. And hopefully, if need be and questions come, I will pass them over to you.
Okay.
Karibu sana
Asante.
at Alpha House. Don't disappear on us so much. To you who's been watching this episode, I hope you're now more informed as a Kenyan on what it means to linda kura yako, go vote. Don't worry about so much about ballot stuffing and why the presidential vote needs to be counted. You need to be part of the counting at the constituency level. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next episode.